So classification and KNN. Last class, the last chapter's concepts, you have seen some details about the different types of machine learning formats or methodologies such as the supervised, unsupervised, reinforced, instance-based, different types of machine learning. So classification um, is a technique which is it's the most important concern or methodology in the machine learning, and it is considered as a task which requires the classification is a task that requires the use of machine learning algorithms, and that algorithms may be of different types, supervised, unsupervised, based on the data set or whatever data you are analyzing. So classification is a task that requires use of machine learning algorithms that learn how to assign a class level to the examples from the problem domain. And an easy to understand example is while classifying emails, which email is spam and which is not spam. So there are many different types of classification tasks that you may encounter in machine learning, and specialized approaches to modeling that may be used for each. So there are different classification related machine learning algorithms. We will cover all of them. So the KNN is one of them, K nearest neighbor. So which is very famous used methodology in the classification. So prediction problems, whether classification or numeric prediction. Actually, what happens, classification, predictive modeling, classification, while you are doing some sort of prediction. So this is also called classification predictive modeling. It involves assigning a class level to input examples. Suppose a person is a man or woman. So it depends on the what characteristics they are having, and there are two classes here. We will consider man or women. So if you have classified using some sort of training data, then whenever a new person comes, so the techniques that you have used for classifying the man women level, based on that the new person will be classified. It goes on like using this type of methodology. It depends on what type of category you are classifying your input to. Okay, what type of class level the example or the input actually belong to. And there are different types of classification. Again, binary classification, one of them is. So binary classification, it actually refers to predicting one of two classes. Okay, if there are two classes, we want to predict one of the two classes. And multi-class classification is there, which involves predicting one of more than two classes. And multi-label classification involves predicting one or more classes for each example. And there is another one type of classification called imbalanced classification, which refers to classification tasks where distribution of examples across the classes is not equal. So there are different types of classifications. But if we have some sort of classification inputs given and numeric prediction we need to do, these are different types of problems which needed to be addressed in a particular way. So let's take the case of classification. So basically in classification, we mostly predict the class level. Which type of each class level will refer to a particular category, and it can refer to discrete or nominal. Okay. It is related to your type of data, discrete data or nominal data. So the classification process actually classifies the data based on a training set and the values in a classifying attribute and uses it in the classifying new data. So this is the example I just gave you before in the first slide itself, that the man women example, right? So first, using some examples, you have defined the class levels as man and women, right? So man will be having certain characteristics features, and women will be having certain set of characteristics feature. So after labeling the different classes, men and women, when that is your training your data, then when you want to test your data using it by considering a new person, that becomes your testing part. And based on the first class label that you get from your training data model, you will identify the new person will belong to which type of, either it is a man or a woman. This is how the classification is always done. And one type is numeric prediction, which is a special type of classification mostly considered in regression problems. What is regression again? Related to some examples I can give you: stock market prediction or real estate value prediction. So if you have stock data, market data or stock data, or let's say you have real estate data for over many years, so based on all those data you can say what will be the future prediction, what will be the cost, or how the real estate market or stock market will behave in term of the history or the projection. So that type of format of classification is called regression, and it is related to numeric prediction. And this type of data for numeric prediction is considered as continuous valued functions, or those type of data will always contain the continuous valued data. And different types of classification applications, I think I have already mentioned this. Yeah, the spam email example, one of them, it is that if you have a set of emails, then which is spam, which is not spam, that is one type of classification problem. So credit or loan approval, so whether looking at certain person's information, personal data or credit score, you will classify whether that person will be approved for a credit or loan or whether not. Then medical diagnosis, whether there is a tumor, whether it is a benign tumor or a cancerous tumor, whether it is harmful or not. That type of problem also can be addressed through the classification. Fraud detection, so a transaction, whether a credit card transaction is fraudulent or it is a legitimate transaction, that is also one type of classification. Then web page categorization, so there are different types of web data, right? Internet data available, and different web pages have different types of data, whether it is a stock data, whether it is a medical data, or whether it is an educational data, whether it is a real estate data. So based on that, um, this is also can be the web page categorization can also be an example of classification application. These are some of the basics about classification. So let's say the definition of classification here. Okay, again this picture is cut down here. So this picture is actually what it's saying. Let me annotate it. Here you have the classification model. You are giving some sort of attribute set as input, and there should be output. Okay, output, and that output will have a particular class type, and it may be Y. So X attribute set will be given to a classification model as input, and you will have the output in the format of a different class level, that is Y. So the data for a classification task actually consists of a collection of instances or records. Okay, and each such instance is characterized by a tuple actually, or a row xy in a table, where x is a set of attribute values that can describe the y, which is the class label of the instance. And the attribute x can contain attributes of any type, while the class label y must be categorical. Which type of categorical label? That will be signified by y. So a classification model is an abstract representation of the relationship between the attribute set and the class label. And in the next other advanced chapters that we will be covering, we will be seeing that the model can be represented in many ways. It can be represented in a tree format, in a probability table format, or simple in a vector format, or real valued parameters. So more formally, we can express it mathematically as a target function f. Okay. So what is the target function f, which can take an input, that is the attribute set x, and produces an output corresponding to the predicted class level like y. And the model is set to classify the instance xy correctly if f of x will be used in the classification model. F of x will give the output as the y class level. So this is actually the classification definition relates to. Now different categories of the classification task. So as we have already discussed, so categorizing email messages. So attribute set X will be the features extracted from email message header and content, whether it is a spam or not. So based on that, we will consider whether it is a promotion email, whether it is a primary email, whether it is a spam. So based on that, you do the categorization by labeling it by a class level. Then identifying tumor cells. So from the MRI scans, from the medical data, you will extract different features, and from those you will find out which type of class level, either malignant or benign. Then cataloging galaxies. So you will use the images, telescope images and their features, and then you will here address the class levels as these types: elliptical, spiral, or irregular shaped. So these are some of the classification task example and how the input and why will be. So classification model actually serves two major important roles in data mining. First, it is used as a predictive model to classify previously unlabeled instances about which we don't have any knowledge. And a good classification model must provide accurate predictions with a fast response time. Secondly, it can serve as a descriptive model to identify the characteristics that can distinguish the instances from different classes. So, this is particularly useful for critical applications such as medical diagnosis, where it is insufficient to have a model that makes a prediction without justifying how it reaches such a decision. Okay. So let's see a classification model, the general approach for building classification model. Uh, so just see the picture. So this is a training set data. Mm, same same column names you have in both the sets, but the training set is larger in size than the test set. So considering the training set, you will um, you will try to train your model using a training algorithm, and that depends on your data, what type of data you are having. Based on that, you will choose your algorithm. Then after you train your model is there, and now you will apply that fitted model, trained model, on the test set to classify your attributes or the inputs. So how can we define classification from this structure here? So classification can be defined as the task of assigning labels to unlabeled data instances, and a classifier is used to perform such a task. The model is actually created using a given set of instances known as training set, which contains attribute values as well as class labels for each instance. And the systematic approach of learning a classification model given in a training set is known as learning algorithm. The process of using this learning algorithm to build a classification model from the training data, that process is called induction. And this process is also often described as learning a model or building a model. And this type of process of applying a classification model to unseen test, the unknown test instances to predict the class level, okay, is called your deduction. So thus the process of classification involves two steps: applying the learning algorithm to the training data to learn the model, and then applying the model to assign labels to your unlabeled instances. So some of the classification techniques. Today we will be reviewing the k-nearest neighbor, but in our future chapters we will be mostly covering all these types. The decision tree, rule-based methods, neural networks, nearest neighbor, deep learning, naive Bayes, Bayesian belief networks, SPM or support vector machines, and some other type of classifiers, these three. So these are again individual chapters on their own, and they are all related to the classification tasks. So let's see the nearest neighbor classifiers. So the nearest neighbor based classifiers use some or all the patterns available in the training set to classify a test pattern. And these classifiers essentially involve finding the similarity between the test pattern and every pattern in the training set. So here we have an example, and this is your training samples and this is your test sample. So based on the characteristics that is written under the basic idea, you will measure, actually the nearest neighbor is mostly reliant on the distance, and this distance can be any measure, and most famous measure is your Euclidean distance. So based on the distance you will determine how many are more closer, how many instances are more closer. So based on that you will determine what is your test record or test sample is, what type of class level does it belong to. So this is how the nearest neighbor classification actually works. Let's see this one. Mm. So we have a set of data here, okay, and these are of different labels. So a nearest neighbor classifier actually represents each example as a data point. So these are different data points or samples. And in a d-dimensional space, so is this can be considered as a two-dimensional space where, you know, the dimension can correspond to number of attributes. So given in a test instance, we can compute the proximity to the training instances. So the k nearest neighbors of a given test instance Z can refer to training examples that are close to Z. About that, it is a little complex. When I will move to the next slides, it will be more clear. So we have some sort of instances as plus. This is a test instance about which we don't know what it is actually. Okay, and this minus is actually another one instance. So based on what k nearest neighbor, so let's say if you say 4 nearest neighbor, so including itself, it will determine how many other 3 remaining instances are more closer. So based on that, it will draw this line, and this is the k nearest neighbor region for this data sample. So based on that, it will classify itself um, with respect to the samples which are closer to it. So let's see the definition of k nearest neighbor. This is your one nearest neighbor. So this sample here cross is classified with which one sample is closer to it. So first one region. If you say two nearest neighbor, which So this cross is your test sample about which, or unknown sample about which we don't know anything. And 2 nearest neighbor means which 2 are in close proximity. 3, which 3 are in close proximity, including it should be 4. So the first, second, third nearest neighbors of a test instance located at the center of each circle. Okay, if you see. And the instance by cross is classified based on the class labels of its neighbors. So in this case, where the neighbors have more than one label, the test instance is assigned to the majority class of the nearest neighbors. So in figure 1, the one nearest neighbor of the instance is a negative sample. Okay, therefore the instance is assigned to the negative class. If the number of nearest neighbors is 3, okay, third one, so in the figure 3, then the nearest neighborhood contains 2 positive examples and 1 negative example. So using a majority voting scheme, the instance is assigned to the positive class, because we have in the close proximity we have only 1 negative and 2 positive. So we will choose positive class here. And if there is a tie condition, if there are 2 negative, 2 positive, then we may randomly choose one of them to classify the data point. This is the basic idea behind k nearest neighbor. Okay. And how to determine the class level as a test sample. So as I told you, the majority voting. So we will always take the majority vote of a class level among the k-nearest neighbor. And weighted voting is, weighted vote is actually related to the distance. So if D is the distance between the query sample and a data point inside a training set or set of samples, then the weight factor will be W equal to 1 by D square. Let's see one example of KNN. Here, okay, so this is our given data set. Food, chat, fast, price, bar, big tip. These are all, this is a data set, and each of them has some combination of data, and based on that we will do the classification. So suppose we are considering the similarity metric as number of matching attributes of k equal to 2. Let's take an example as great, no, no, normal, no. Let's compare it with all the 4 options, 1, 2, 3, 4, row wise. So if we see, in that case, most similar is the number 2, okay, where there is only one mismatch and all others including are 4 match. Okay, so here our yeah, sorry, yeah, so one mismatch and 4 match, so our answer is yes. Okay, and the second most similar example will be the number 1 row, where we have 2 mismatch for no, no, okay, yes, yes, and here we have no, no, 2 mismatch and 3 matches. For this also it is yes. So if you have 2 here, okay, so in that case, which one you will choose, that depend on you. So which one you should choose actually. So which one you will choose, whichever, wherever you find less number of mismatch, that will be your optimal solution. Then example 2, suppose this is your example 2. So based on this, you will see number 3, where you have 1 mismatch and 4 matches. Okay, so this is no. And second most similar example is your number 1, where there are 2 mismatch and 3 matches, and the answer is yes. So this is how your data set will be and how the matching actually happens. So either you can take Euclidean distances, otherwise there are other distance measures also, you know, the Manhattan, supremum or cosine measure. So which type of measure you will choose, that is again another thing. So if you have two different documents, if you remember cosine distance measure, if you have two different inputs like this, documents like this, so Euclidean distance will give you the same answer 1.41 for both the pairs, but if you apply the cosine measure, it will have different values. So in this case we will prefer cosine measure over Euclidean. Okay, so as we are not sure about what our output will be, we will always look for better options or criteria to apply to our data set to get some optimal results. Then as we say k nearest neighbor, what is this k actually? So k is the most defined or important criteria in the nearest neighbor, because that will give us the efficient optimal solution for our problem. And again, choosing the value of k is very sensitive. It is very difficult what value of k you will choose, whether it is small or large. So if you choose the k to be too small, the value of k, that is nearest neighbor, that if you choose too small, then it will be more sensitive to the outliers or the noise. So small k will be susceptible to overfitting problem due to noise. Okay, so if overfitting means what? Let's say some solution you have from your input, and you are making an assumption. You are assuming that the output that you found out, it is actually fitting your data, but which is not again final. And either you are having some close output which is again not optimal, and you need more from there. So you need more fine tuning of your input data set to have different output. That is a overfitting issue. And the large k, so if you have too large value for the k, then the classifier may misclassify the test instance because of its list of neighbors include training examples that are located far away from its neighborhood. Okay, so if you make it too large, it is including plus, it is also including minus. So based on the number of minus, you will make the data point as minus class, whereas it is actually your plus. So this is something what we don't want. So choosing the value of k is really important in your k nearest neighbor. So nearest neighbor classification is mostly associated, is also associated with the scaling issues. So I think I already gave some basic idea in the starting classes. Okay, so we have different types of data, right? We have numeric data, integer valued data, we have categorical data, we have continuous valued data. So different types of data you have already seen: nominal, discrete, okay, qualitative, quantitative data. So different type of data may have different ranges, like height of a person, and of different units. Again, height of person may vary from like this, okay, meters, in meters, or weight can vary in lbs, or income can vary in millions, billions. So so these are different units, and they have their own unit calculation. So if we have different types of or categories of data in our data set, it is really important that they should be scaled in a certain way that they will fall in a same range. Either bring them to some range that they will be within -1 to +1, or 0 to 1. Everything will be scaled in a proper way. So in that case, the classification that you will do, that will be more efficient and more final. So scaling issues, we need to always really address that issue while doing the nearest neighbor classification. And again, for classification issue, we have a concept dimensionality reduction, which is not included in your syllabus. But if you are taking a upper level course related to data science machine learning, then dimensionality reduction is an important concept to be covered, and it basically relates uh, with efficient machine learning approaches. Okay, and as we are not more lean towards programming aspects, so that is why we are not going into that those things, because those dimensionality reduction, it is easier to address if we do it by programming or coding. Okay, now again selecting the number of neighbors. So finding the value of k is not easy, as we discussed. The small, if we have a small value of k, that means that noise will have a higher influence on the result, and a large value make it computationally expensive. So data scientists usually choose an odd number if the number of classes is 2, and another simple approach is to select k, is to set the k as square root of n. Whatever is the number of attributes, so take the square root of n. So it depends on the data set, actually what type of data set you are having. You have to actually do choose the k value using a brute force method. That is the efficient way, I could say. Now next comes how to handle missing values in training and testing set. Sometimes there may be certain values which will be missing from your data set, and this missing value can be really expensive for the nearest neighbor classification approach. Okay, so how to handle this type of missing values? So for proximity computation, while you are finding out distances using Euclidean or cosine or anything else, they normally require the presence of all attributes. If something is not there or zero, okay. Usually, if you have missing data in your data set, we address it by nan or not applicable value. So this is something which is not properly handled in different distance measures. So KNN algorithm is useful for matching a point with its closest k nearest neighbor in a space, and it can be used for a data that are continuous, discrete, ordinal, categorical, which makes it particularly useful for dealing with all kinds of missing data. Okay, so assumption behind using KNN of missing values is that a point value can be approximated by the values of points that are closest to it based on other variables. So if we have missing values, how to address it? So some of the approaches, they can consider the subset of attributes present in two instances. So suppose we are finding some sort of missing values. So whatever is closest, whatever attribute values we have closest, just take the subset of that. But this again may or may not produce good results, since it always effectively uses proximity measures for pair of instances, and always the proximities are not efficiently comparable. So we need to look into this meshing values properly while doing the KNN, that is nearest neighbor classification. And there are different ways, again different approaches of handling the meshing values. And if we go through in a different coding way, then you will be able to easily understand this. But just for now, to have the idea, so these are different issues which are related to your nearest neighbor classification. Next comes, how can you improve the KNN efficiency? Okay, so there are different ways of doing it. Uh, we can avoid having to compute distance of different samples in the data set or training set. And there are different ways of doing that. These are the three approaches. This is beyond our scope. but just for the sake of understanding or knowing the concepts, I have addressed them here. Multidimensional access methods. We will see decision trees probably in next class. Okay, but this locality sensitive hashing is something different. We are not going to cover it. Then to improve the KNN efficiency, you may do condensing or take a small set of objects which can improve the performance. Okay, or editing, remove some of the objects. Okay, if you remember in clustering, the outliers, those who don't belong to the cluster, those who don't are not related to our data set. So like that, you can remove the objects which will improve the efficiency. And lastly, the strength and the weaknesses of KNN. Okay, so what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses? So it always need the similarity or the distance measure. Okay, and for large training sets, so you need to always iterate over the whole entire data set. And for large data set, it can be computationally uh, very expensive. And if there will be a lot of huge number of attributes in your data set also, the accuracy can degrade in that case. So some of the advantages of KNN are, so since the KNN algorithm requires no training before making predictions, so new data can be added seamlessly, which will not impact the accuracy of the algorithm. I mean, for prediction, you don't need training, but you need training for training the model before applying the testing data into it. But you can always add the new data whenever you want to, for making the prediction. And KNN is actually very easy to implement. There are just two parameters required to implement the KNN if we go to the picture of coding. So we need the value of k and the distance function. So what type of distance function, that depend on you, whether you choose cosine, whether you choose Euclidean, whether you choose Manhattan. You have to explicitly pass that as argument to the function. So in there is a library in Python which is called scikit-learn. Scikit-learn has a direct function knn, which is the k nearest neighbor function. And it is really easy. You can just provide the value of k. You can just provide the value of k and then the distance measure. Either you can provide Euclidean distance or Manhattan, whatever distance measure you will provide. So based on that, that function knn will do your whole thing, will train your model. So after training the model using this function, you can do your classification. That is another part, the coding part, which we are not moving into. And the disadvantages, as I told you, already discussed here, it doesn't work well with large set of data set, because in large data set, cost of calculating the distance between various points is huge, and which can degrade the performance of algorithms. And it doesn't work with higher dimensional data, because large number of dimensions, it may be difficult for the algorithm to calculate the distance in each dimension. Then it needs feature scaling, because I have shown you this feature, this scaling part. The scaling part, the dimensionality reduction. So the scaling is again important measure which is required for the KNN. And KNN is also very sensitive to noisy data, missing values and outliers. Okay. And we need to um, we need to follow certain measures for handling the missing values properly, and this handling of missing value is called missing data imputation. There are again different approaches for doing that. And using the missing data imputation, you will be able to handle this type of issues in KNN or in other algorithms as well. So this concludes your KNN. I'll be posting the video later.